The night at the human medical base was calm, almost too calm. The sky above the desert was dark and quiet, lit only by a few stars. Doctors and nurses worked inside the base with slow steps, tired from long shifts. Machines beeped softly. Screens glowed. Everything felt normal. Then the ground began to shake. At first, it was a light vibration. A few cups rattled. A few loose papers fell from desks. No one understood what was happening. Some ran outside. Some froze where they stood. But within seconds, the vibration grew into a heavy rumble that made the entire building tremble. A sound like thunder rolled across the sky. Then they saw it. A giant alien starship broke through the clouds, silent, smooth, and shining with blue light. It was bigger than anything the humans had ever seen. It hovered above the base and then slowly landed on the ground with quiet force. Dust rose around it like a cloud. Everyone in the base stopped moving. Alien royal ships never came to Earth without sending messages first. They never arrived unannounced. And they definitely never landed on human soil, especially not at a small desert medical base. Fear spread through the staff. The starship opened with a deep metallic hum. A ramp extended to the ground. Bright blue light poured out from inside the ship, almost blinding. Then alien soldiers stepped out, tall, armored, silent. Their uniforms carried royal symbols, glowing like fire, and they were carrying someone. It was a young alien boy, no older than 15 in human years. His skin glowed blue like a soft flame. Strange energy sparks danced around his body, jumping from one vein to another. His eyes opened and closed quickly, glowing each time like electric lamps. The boy was shaking, weak, and breathing fast. The soldiers rushed toward the medical base doors. Humans, shocked and confused, moved aside. It looked like the boy might die at any moment. Behind the soldiers walked the alien commander. His face was hard, serious, but also full of fear. He looked at the human doctors and spoke only one line. "Our prince is dying. Only a human doctor can save him." Gasps filled the room. A prince? Here? Dying? No one knew what to do. The human staff stepped back. They looked at each other, hoping someone else would step up. But no one dared. No one understood what illness the alien prince had. No human had ever worked on a royal alien body. Their biology was different. Their energy was dangerous. Finally, the alien commander pointed at one man, Dr. Adrian Hale. Adrian was a calm man with tired eyes. He had worked for years without asking for applause. He was skilled, patient, and known for solving impossible medical cases. But even he froze for a second when he saw the boy. He walked forward slowly. His heart beat faster. The prince's glowing veins pulsed like electricity, bright blue and unstable. Every pulse seemed to shake the machines around him. Adrian studied the boy's face. Under the glowing skin, he saw fear, pain, and something else, desperation. Then the prince opened his eyes. His voice was weak, cracking like broken glass. "Human, help me, please." Those words hit Adrian harder than anything else. Before he could answer, the prince's body spasmed. A sudden burst of energy exploded from his chest. Blue lightning shot out, striking machines, breaking monitors, and sending staff members flying back. Alarms started ringing. Red lights flashed everywhere. Nurses screamed and ran. Soldiers stepped forward, ready to pull the prince away. But Adrian did not move. He stood completely still, watching the boy struggle, watching the violent energy rising from his body, watching the alien child fight for every breath. Something inside Adrian refused to step back, refused to run. He had treated thousands of patients. Humans, aliens, soldiers, civilians. But he had never seen an illness like this. Never seen energy like this. Never seen veins glowing like living lightning. He realized something important, something terrifying. This was not a normal illness. This was something new, something unknown, something dangerous, something that could kill the prince, and possibly kill everyone in the base. The boy gasped again. His hand reached out, shaking, searching for something. Someone. Adrian stepped forward. Everyone shouted at him. "Stop. Don't touch him. You'll die. But Adrian ignored them. He reached out and gently took the prince's hand. The moment he touched him, the glowing energy calmed. The sparks faded. The lightning softened. The boy relaxed slightly, his breathing slowing. The entire room fell silent. Everyone stared in shock. No human had ever touched raw royal alien energy and survived. Some alien soldiers whispered among themselves. Some stepped back. The commander looked at Adrian with wide eyes. He chose you, human. Only you. Adrian felt the prince's hand trembling in his own. The boy whispered again, softer this time. Don't leave me. The doctor nodded slowly. He wouldn't leave. He couldn't. This child needed him. The entire alien empire needed him. The story of their bond, their fight against the unknown illness, their connection across two worlds, began at that moment, and nothing would ever be the same again. Dr. Adrian Hale guided the alien prince through the bright hallways of the human medical base. Nurses watched with wide eyes. Some whispered in fear. Some whispered in awe. No one could believe what they had just witnessed. A human calmly touching a royal alien boy whose body crackled like living lightning. The prince held Adrian's hand tightly, as if it was the only thing keeping him alive. Adrian pushed open the doors to a special isolation room. It was usually used for dangerous infections, radiation cases, or strange off-world diseases. The walls were thick, the doors heavy, and the room filled with advanced machines ready for emergencies. But even this room felt too small for what was happening. As the prince entered, the energy around him reacted again. Monitors flickered. Lights buzzed. Some screens lost their signal. Adrian stayed calm. He pulled up a rolling chair and sat beside the bed. The prince sat too, breathing softly, blue light rising and falling under his skin like waves. For a moment, they watched each other in silence. Then Adrian spoke gently. Tell me your name. The prince hesitated, as if unsure he deserved to speak. Lyron, he whispered. The name was soft, almost musical. It didn't match the violent energy inside him. Adrian nodded. Lyron, I need to understand what is happening to you. Can you tell me when this started? Lyron's eyes lowered. At my coming-of-age ceremony, he said quietly, all princes must face the ritual of awakening. It is supposed to give us strength, but mine only brought pain. Adrian leaned forward. What happened? Lyron swallowed. When the ritual began, I felt a surge of power inside me. It grew too fast, too wild. I could not control it. My veins started to glow, and the energy hurt me from inside. Everyone panicked. They feared I would explode. His voice trembled. I did not want to hurt anyone. I ran. I hid. But the illness kept growing. He looked up at the doctor with shining eyes. Now they think I am broken. Adrian felt a tightness in his chest. A boy, royal or not, should never have to call himself broken. He placed a hand on Lyron's shoulder. You're not broken. Your body is going through something powerful, something rare. We just have to understand it. The moment Adrian touched him, the blue sparks slowed again, as if the energy trusted him too. Adrian stood and began attaching sensors to Lyron's arms and chest. Some sensors burned out instantly. Some melted. Some gave readings that no human machine had ever shown before. His vitals were strange. 2 heartbeats. 2 different rhythms. Both unstable. His blood glowed like soft neon liquid. And the energy inside him, Adrian could feel it through the air, like heat from a fire. He read the scan results. Nothing made sense. Human medical science wasn't enough to explain this. But Adrian didn't step back. He leaned closer, studying every detail. Lyron watched him silently. After several minutes, Adrian turned to the prince with a calm voice. Lyron, have any other princes gone through something like this? Lyron shook his head. No. Only one in 1,000 years has this kind of energy, but they all died before they understood it. Adrian froze. Died. Every one of them. He walked to the glass window of the room. Outside, alien soldiers stood in formation, weapons ready, watching his every move. They were scared too. He turned back to Lyron. And your people thought a human doctor could help? Why? Lyron looked confused. They didn't believe it. I believed it. Adrian raised an eyebrow. You believed it? Lyron nodded weakly. When I first fell sick, I saw you on the human medical broadcasts. You saved people no one else could save. You healed diseases humans didn't understand. His voice softened. I thought, if anyone could help me, it would be you. Adrian's breath caught in his throat. This boy came across the stars because he trusted a human he had never met. Adrian pulled a chair closer and sat again. Lyron, I am going to help you. But you must be honest with me. Is the energy inside you growing? Lyron nodded slowly. Yes. Every hour it grows stronger. I cannot control it. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it feels like my body is tearing apart from inside. A small spark burst from his fingertips as he spoke. The room lights flickered. Adrian quickly grabbed Lyron's hand again. The sparks calmed. Lyron stared at him. You stop the pain. I'm not doing anything, Adrian said quietly. Your energy just reacts to me. Lyron blinked. Why? Adrian didn't answer because he didn't know. All he knew was this. Lyron's illness was not just physical. It was connected to something ancient, something powerful, something that chose Adrian as the stabilizer. He ran more scans. They flickered, cracked, and then showed something strange. A glowing nucleus inside Lyron's chest. A swirling core of pure energy. Alive. Expanding. Adrian stepped back. Lyron looked at him with fear. What does it mean? Adrian swallowed. It means your body is changing, but the change is too powerful. If we don't treat it soon, your energy could overload. Lyron waited with trembling lips. Will I die? Adrian looked at him, not as a doctor looking at a patient, but as a human looking at a frightened child. Not if I can stop it, he said softly. Lyron's eyes glowed, but this time there was hope. Outside, alarms beeped again. Energy surged stronger. Adrian tightened his gloves. The true battle to save the prince was only beginning. Inside the isolation room, the air felt heavy, filled with blue light, fear, and something quietly growing between the doctor and the prince. Dr. Adrian Hale stood near the bed, checking machines that were barely surviving the energy inside the room. Sparks jumped from wire to wire. Some screens flickered like dying candles. Lyron, the alien prince, sat with his knees pulled close, breathing softly. Every exhale made his veins glow brighter for a second before dimming again. He looked small. He looked scared. But when his eyes landed on Adrian, something in his expression softened. You are calm, Lyron whispered. Everyone else looks at me like I am a bomb. Adrian pulled a stool beside him and sat down. You're not a bomb. You're a boy who needs help. Lyron's lips trembled, as if no one had spoken to him like a normal person for a long time. A sudden spark burst from his shoulder, hitting a nearby monitor. It exploded, sending glass across the floor. Alien guards outside the door rushed forward instantly, weapons raised. Lyron panicked and covered his face with shaking hands. Adrian stood up quickly. Stand down, he shouted through the window. Do not enter. The guards hesitated. The commander narrowed his eyes but slowly lowered his weapon. Inside the room, Lyron whispered, I did not mean to. I cannot control it. Adrian crouched beside him. Hey, look at me. Lyron lifted his glowing eyes. You are not alone, Adrian said softly. We will figure this out. You and me. Lyron stared at him, confused. No one in my empire says we. They only say your duty or your responsibility. Well, Adrian said with a small smile, I'm not from your empire. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Lyron let out a tiny laugh. It was weak, but real. Adrian's smile widened. See? That's better. But the moment of calm didn't last long. A violent surge of energy hit Lyron's chest without warning. He gasped and clutched his ribs. His eyes flashed bright blue. Sparks shot across his skin, like lightning trying to escape. Adrian reached forward instinctively and grabbed his hands. Stay with me, Lyron. The energy reacted, slowing, softening, calming just like before. Lyron breathed hard. His voice shook. It hurts like fire inside my body. I know, Adrian said gently, but I'm here. Focus on my voice. Lyron nodded weakly, gripping Adrian's hands tightly. The glowing veins dimmed. Adrian exhaled slowly. This connection between them, it was real, and it was the only thing keeping Lyron alive. When Lyron finally relaxed, he whispered, "Why do you risk your life for me, human? I am not your people." Adrian shook his head. "You're a patient. That's all that matters." Lyron blinked several times. "No one in my life has ever said that." Adrian reached for a small scanner and held it close to Lyron's chest. A swirling core of blue energy showed up on the screen, spinning faster than before. Adrian frowned. "This is growing, faster than I expected." Lyron pulled his knees closer. "It grows when I feel strong emotions, fear, pain, anger." Adrian looked up. "So it reacts to your heart?" Lyron nodded. "Yes, but I cannot control it. My body, it feels like two storms fighting inside me." Adrian sat beside him again. "Then we need to teach you how to calm the storm." Lyron stared at him, confused but hopeful. "How?" he asked. Adrian tapped his own chest. "With this, with breathing, with trust." Lyron swallowed. "Trust is dangerous where I come from," he whispered. "Trust can kill." Adrian looked right into his glowing eyes. "Not here." Lyron's eyes softened. He looked at Adrian the way a drowning child looks at the first hand reaching into the water. Slowly, carefully, Lyron placed his glowing hand on Adrian's. The blue sparks around his fingers faded instantly. "It listens to you," Lyron whispered. "The energy, it listens." Adrian gently squeezed his hand. "Then we use that. Together." Lyron took a trembling breath. "Together." He repeated the word like it was new to him. "I like that." Adrian stood and walked to a console. He typed a few commands. The room lights dimmed. A soft hum began. Low, steady, calming. "What is this?" Lyron asked. "A human technique," Adrian said with a small smile. "Something to help you breathe." He demonstrated slow breaths. In, out, in, out. Lyron watched him closely, then copied him. As he breathed, the glowing veins softened. The spark stopped. The energy inside him quieted. Lyron opened his eyes in surprise. "It worked." Adrian nodded. "You just needed guidance." A long silence followed, filled only with calm breathing. Then Lyron whispered something that surprised Adrian. "You are different from the healers of my empire." "How?" Adrian asked. Lyron looked at him with deep honesty. "You see me, not the illness, not the power, not the fear. Just me." Adrian felt something heavy move in his chest. He had treated many patients in his life, but none looked at him the way Lyron did now, as if he was the only light in a dark world. Before Adrian could speak, the commander opened the door's communication panel. "Doctor," he said coldly, "we need an update." Adrian glanced at Lyron. The prince's eyes filled with fear again. Adrian spoke firmly. "He needs rest, and I need privacy." The commander paused, then nodded silently and stepped back. Lyron exhaled in relief. "Thank you," he whispered. Adrian smiled gently. "I told you, you're not alone." Lyron stared at him, the strange human with gentle words and steady hands, and something powerful shifted in his heart. A bond had begun, not of duty, not of royalty, but of trust. And trust, in this moment, was more valuable than any medicine. The lights in the isolation room were dim now, glowing only with soft white and gentle blue reflections. The machines hummed quietly in the background, still flickering every few minutes from Lyron's unstable energy. But inside the room, for the first time in hours, the prince wasn't trembling. Lyron lay back on the medical bed, breathing in slow, controlled patterns, just like Adrian taught him. Every breath calmed the glowing veins under his skin. Every exhale softened the sparks around his hands. Adrian watched him carefully from the console, studying the last round of scans. Something wasn't right. Not just wrong, unbelievably strange. Lyron sensed the tension. His glowing eyes turned toward Adrian. "What do you see, doctor?" he asked softly. Adrian didn't answer at first. He ran the scan again. And again, the results stayed the same. Finally, he walked over and pulled up a chair beside Lyron. "I found something," he said slowly. "Something important. Something hidden." Lyron swallowed. "What is it?" Adrian took a deep breath and pointed to the hologram, showing Lyron's chest. Inside the glowing ribs was a swirling core of bright blue energy. It moved like a living storm, shifting, forming patterns, then breaking. "This," Adrian said, "this is the center of your illness." Lyron stared at it, eyes widening. "That is the royal energy source. All princes have it." Adrian shook his head. "No, this one is different." Lyron blinked in confusion. Adrian zoomed in on the core. Now the patterns were clearer. Spirals, waves, shifting shapes. "I compared your scans to every alien medical record your commander gave us," Adrian explained. "Your energy isn't just unstable, it's evolving, changing shape, growing at a speed your species has never seen." Lyron slowly sat up, fear creeping back into his face. "What does that mean, doctor?" Adrian kept his voice steady. "It means your body is trying to transform, but the transformation is too strong, too fast, too much for your organs to handle." Lyron looked away, his hands glowing faintly. "My father knew," he whispered. "He knew something was wrong even before the ritual." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "How?" Lyron hesitated, then spoke softly. "He ordered ancient records to be sealed. He stopped the royal scholars from studying evolution cases. He forbade the healers from telling me anything." Adrian frowned. "Why would he do that?" Lyron looked down, shame filling his glowing eyes. "Because every prince born with this mutation died." The words hung in the air like heavy stones. Adrian sat still. So that was it. The truth buried in ancient records. A sickness older than the empire. A mutation so rare and powerful that royal families try to hide it instead of understanding it. And now the boy sitting in front of him was the next victim. But Adrian didn't look afraid. He looked determined. "Lyron," he said gently, "those princes died because no one understood their condition. But we do now, and you're stronger than the others." Lyron blinked in surprise. "Stronger? How?" Adrian pointed at the glowing patterns on Lyron's skin. "You've survived for weeks. Your energy responds to my presence. And most importantly, your core is not breaking down. It's stabilizing slowly." Lyron looked shocked. "It is?" Adrian nodded. "But only when you're calm, when you breathe, when you trust." Lyron lowered his head, overcome by emotion. "No healer ever told me that," he whispered. "They only said I was failing the ritual, that my body was rejecting my destiny." Adrian placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You're not failing anything. Your body is changing faster than anyone expected. That's not failure. That's survival." Lyron stared at him, his voice trembling. "Then can I live?" Adrian took a slow breath, choosing his words carefully. "You can live," he said, "but not with traditional alien treatment. They don't understand what's happening inside you if they take you back." The isolation room's doors suddenly clicked open. Adrian turned sharply. Commander Vierick stepped inside, helmet under his arm, expression cold and sharp. "You have spoken enough, human," he said. Lyron flinched. The commander's eyes locked onto Adrian. "You will prepare the prince for transfer. Our ship will perform the royal treatment immediately." Adrian stood. "No," he said firmly. "If you take him, he won't survive the night." The commander's jaw tightened. Alien soldiers behind him gripped their weapons. Lyron's hands glowed with panic. Adrian stepped between Lyron and the soldiers. "You don't understand this mutation," Adrian said. "Your treatment will force the energy to grow faster. His organs will collapse." The commander stepped forward, towering over Adrian. "You dare tell us how to heal our prince?" Adrian didn't break eye contact. "Yes." Silence fell. Lyron watched with wide, glowing eyes. No one had ever defied the royal guard for him. No one had stood between him and danger. No one had spoken for his life. The commander raised a hand. Guards lifted their weapons. Lyron gasped, his energy rising in fear. Adrian lifted both hands. "If you want him dead, take him," he said quietly. "But if you want your prince alive, let me finish my work." The commander froze. Lyron's breathing grew louder. The lights shook. The energy core inside him spun faster and faster. One wrong move and Lyron might explode. The commander slowly lowered his hand. "Very well," he said. "But if he dies, your world answers for it." The soldiers stepped back. The door closed. Lyron's hands shook as he whispered, "Why did you defend me, Doctor?" Adrian placed a hand on his shoulder again. "Because you deserve a chance to live, and I'm not giving up on you." Lyron looked at him, eyes bright with emotion. For the first time, he believed he might survive. The isolation room felt colder now, as if the walls themselves sensed a danger growing inside the young alien prince. Every light flickered. Every machine hummed nervously. Lyron sat on the medical bed, trembling. Adrian stood beside him, pulling on reinforced gloves. Gloves designed for high-voltage emergencies, not alien evolution. Lyron watched him with wide, glowing eyes. "Doctor," he whispered, "are you sure this will work?" Adrian paused, meeting the prince's gaze. "No," he answered honestly, "but I am sure of one thing. Doing nothing will kill you." Lyron swallowed hard. Adrian showed Lyron a set of long metallic rods, thin, smooth, and made from a rare element the alien commander provided under heavy resistance. They shimmered faintly, reacting to Lyron's energy. Lyron stared at them. "What are they for?" Adrian sat down beside him, voice calm and steady. "They're stabilizers. Your energy core is spinning too fast. These rods can slow it down, balance it, but only if placed correctly inside your glowing veins." Lyron's breath caught. "Inside my veins?" Adrian nodded slowly. "Yes." Lyron closed his eyes. The idea terrified him, but the pain inside his body was becoming worse every hour. He whispered, "If you miss, what happens?" Adrian didn't hide the truth. "If I miss, your energy could explode." A silence heavy as stone filled the room. Lyron's fingers trembled. Adrian gently placed a hand over them. "I won't miss," he said. Lyron stared into his eyes. The human doctor looked tired, wounded, yet completely confident, as if the entire universe had shrunk into one mission, saving this prince. Finally, Lyron nodded. "I trust you." Adrian exhaled. "Then let's begin." Adrian moved the glowing scanners around Lyron's chest, tracing the paths of the unstable veins. Each vein pulsed like a living wire carrying cosmic power. Lyron lay back, breathing slow and deep like Adrian taught him. But as Adrian lifted the first stabilizer rod, Lyron gasped as a wave of energy surged through him. Bright blue lightning burst from his body, striking the ceiling. The room shook violently. Adrian stepped forward quickly, grabbing Lyron's hand. The energy calmed instantly. Lyron cried out, half in fear, half in pain. "I cannot control it." Adrian squeezed his hand gently. "Then borrow my calm." Lyron's breathing steadied. Adrian took the first rod, positioned it over Lyron's glowing vein, and slowly pushed it in. Lyron arched his back, choking on a scream as lightning jumped out his skin. Adrian pressed his free hand on Lyron's chest. "Look at me, Lyron. Focus on my voice." Lyron's eyes flickered open. "You're doing great," Adrian whispered. "Stay with me?" Lyron nodded, tears glowing on his cheeks. Adrian slid the rod deeper, guiding it carefully through the unstable energy tunnels inside the prince's body. The monitors screamed warnings. The lights dimmed. Blue sparks flew everywhere. Outside the isolation room, alien soldiers watched through the glass, gripping their weapons as if at any moment the boy might explode. The commander whispered to his officers, "If the human makes one mistake, we lose our future." Inside, Adrian's hands worked with steady precision. He placed the second rod, then the third. With each insertion, Lyron's screams grew louder. His glowing veins pulsed violently. Sparks burst from his arms, his shoulders, his throat. "You're almost there," Adrian whispered. Lyron's voice cracked. It hurts so much. I know, Adrian said softly, but you're not alone. When Adrian reached the final stabilizer, the energy inside Lyron suddenly roared like a storm breaking free. A shockwave of blue power exploded from Lyron's chest. Adrian was thrown backward, crashing into the wall. Machines flew, chairs toppled, lights shattered. The alien soldiers yelled and reached for the door, but Lyron lifted a trembling hand and cried out, "No!" His voice echoed like thunder. The door remained locked. Lyron's whole body glowed, blinding white. Energy spiraled around him like a living tornado. The room trembled, cracking the floor tiles under him. Adrian pushed himself up, barely able to see through the light. "Lyron," he shouted, "listen to me." Lyron struggled to breathe, energy ripping out at him in wild bursts. "I can't stop it." Adrian stumbled forward, fighting the waves of heat and power, until he reached the bed. He grabbed Lyron's hand again. Instantly, the energy slowed. Lyron's light dimmed. A faint calm spread through his body. Lyron sobbed, "Please, help me." Adrian held his hand tightly. "I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." The storm eased enough for him to lift the final stabilizer rod. He leaned close, voice a whisper. "This is the last one. After this, the energy will balance." Lyron nodded shakily, tears glowing like crystals. Adrian pushed the final rod into place. Lyron screamed, not from fear, but from a violent surge of power stabilizing inside him. The room exploded with white-blue light. Then, silence. Slowly, the light faded. The energy calmed. Lyron collapsed against the bed, breathing hard but steady. The glowing veins on his skin dimmed, and for the first time since arriving on Earth, they stayed dim. Adrian let out a shaking breath. Lyron opened his eyes weakly. "Did it work?" he whispered. Adrian touched his shoulder gently. "Yes," he said. "You're stabilizing." Lyron smiled through tears. "You saved me again." Adrian smiled back, exhausted but relieved. "We're not finished yet," he said, "but you survived the hardest part." Outside the room, the alien commander watched, stunned. Inside the room, a bond stronger than any oath had been forged. A human doctor had done the impossible, and Lyron, for the first time, felt the warmth of hope. The isolation room had changed. Hours ago, it felt like a battlefield, filled with fire, lightning, shaking walls, and screams. But now, after the stabilizer rods were placed inside Lyron's glowing veins, there was an unusual calm in the air. Lyron lay on the bed, breathing slowly. For the first time since he arrived on Earth, he wasn't trembling. His skin still glowed lightly, but the wild sparks were gone. The dangerous energy storm inside him had settled. Like a river finally finding its shape, Dr. Adrian Hale stood beside him, checking readings on a half-broken scanner. Every machine in the room had been nearly destroyed during the procedure. Some hung from the ceiling by loose wires. Others smoked faintly. Adrian felt exhausted, his arms heavy, his mind foggy. But when he looked at Lyron, relief washed across his face. "You're doing well," Adrian said softly. Lyron opened his eyes. He looked weak, tired beyond anything a young prince should endure, but he managed a faint smile. "You stayed," he whispered, "even when I almost exploded." Adrian chuckled quietly. "I wasn't going to leave you halfway." Lyron nodded, though his eyes filled with emotion. "No one in my empire would have risked what you risked." Adrian placed a gentle hand on Lyron's arm. "You're not alone, Lyron. Not anymore." But their relief didn't last long. A sudden alarm blared across the medical base. Sharp, loud, urgent. Adrian stiffened. Lyron sat up in panic. The intercom crackled with voice. "Energy spike detected in Isolation Room 22. Possible meltdown." The alien commander's voice followed instantly. "Prepare to seal the wing. Evacuate immediately." Lyron gasped. "No, no! It's happening again." Adrian quickly turned to him. "What do you feel?" Lyron pressed his hands against his chest. "The stabilizers, they slowed the outer energy. But the core, my core, it's pushing harder." Adrian grabbed his portable scanner. The hologram flickered to life. Inside Lyron's chest, the swirling blue energy core was spinning wildly again, much faster than before. Adrian felt his blood freeze. "The rods didn't stop it," he whispered. "They only delayed it." Lyron's eyes widened with fear. "Doctor, I can feel it. Something inside me is breaking." He doubled over as a wave of pain shot through him. Adrian held him up. "Stay with me. Breathe." But Lyron's entire body began glowing brighter, rapidly. The stabilizer rods vibrated under his skin. The bed shook. The lights flickered violently. Adrian tried to calm him, but Lyron's voice trembled with panic. "Doctor, something is wrong. I can feel the core expanding." Through the window, alien guards stepped back, horrified. Some shouted into radios. Some prepared emergency shields. Adrian ignored them. All he saw was a terrified boy in front of him. Lyron grabbed Adrian's coat with glowing hands. "Please, don't let me lose control. I don't want to hurt you." Adrian cupped Lyron's face gently. "Look at me," he said firmly. "You won't hurt me. You hear me?" Lyron's eyes glowed brighter, tears shimmering like liquid light. "I'm scared," he whispered. "I know," Adrian said softly. "But I'm here." Lyron cried out as another surge hit him. Blue lightning exploded from his skin, enraging the scanners, melting wires, shaking the whole room. The intercom yelled again. "Level 9 alert. Core destabilization. Prepare for containment breach." Adrian shouted back, "Cancel that order. He's not a threat." But no one listened. Lyron's body arched, his back lifting off the bed. His energy spiraled out like a violent storm. Adrian grabbed him, holding him close despite the burning heat. "Listen to my voice." Adrian yelled over the hum of energy. "Stay with me, Lyron." Lyron's breathing grew fast, too fast, like he was drowning in the power building inside him. "Doctor," Lyron whispered weakly, "please, I don't want to die." Adrian felt something heavy break inside his chest. He pulled Lyron into his arms. "You're not dying," Adrian said fiercely. "I'm not letting you go. Do you understand? I'm not losing you." Lyron clung to him with glowing fingers. His energy surged one final time. Then everything went white. A massive shockwave exploded inside the room. Windows shattered. Walls groaned. Machines tore from their stands. Outside, guards jumped back, some falling to the floor. The commander shielded his face, shouting orders. Inside, silence. Thick smoke filled the room. For a moment, no one could see anything. Then the smoke slowly cleared. In the center of the room, lying on the cracked floor, was Adrian, unconscious, bleeding, still protecting Lyron with his body. Lyron lay half on top of him, glowing softly, breathing sharply, eyes wide with terror. He lifted his shaking hand and gently touched Adrian's face. "Doctor, wake up," he whispered. "Please wake up." But Adrian didn't move. Lyron's heart broke. Tears fell, glowing as they hit Adrian's coat. Lyron placed his glowing hand over Adrian's chest. Something inside him shifted. His energy core, his evolution, his power. It responded to the bond they had formed. Lyron whispered with trembling lips, "You saved me. Now I save you." A soft blue light spread from his hand into Adrian's body, healing, calming, protecting. Lyron collapsed against Adrian's chest, tears falling freely. "Don't leave me," he whispered. "Please." The lights in the room flickered, and Adrian's fingers moved. For a long moment, the isolation room stayed silent. The lights flickered softly. Dust floated in the air. Broken machines smoked in the corners. And in the middle of the cracked floor, Dr. Adrian Hale lay motionless until his fingers twitched. Lyron gasped, "Doctor? Adrian?" He leaned closer, hands glowing weakly, trembling as they hovered over Adrian's chest. The human doctor groaned softly, barely audible but alive. Lyron let out a breath that sounded like relief and heartbreak mixed together. Adrian opened his eyes slowly, vision blurry, head spinning. His voice came out as a weak whisper. Lyron, the prince's glowing face filled his view, eyes shining not from illness this time, but from tears. You're alive, Lyron whispered. I thought I lost you. Adrian winced as he sat up, pain shooting through his ribs. You didn't lose me, he said, forcing a small smile. You kept me alive. Lyron nodded, wiping glowing tears from his cheeks. I used my energy. I didn't know I could, but it felt like it listened to me because of you. Adrian looked at him carefully. Lyron's glow was no longer frantic or wild. It was warm, controlled, peaceful. The stabilizer rods under his skin no longer vibrated. His veins pulsed softly with stable light. Adrian touched Lyron's wrist gently. You did it, he whispered. Your energy core's balanced. Lyron stared at him in shock. Balanced? You mean I'm not dying? Adrian shook his head slowly, a proud smile forming on his tired face. You're not dying. You completed your evolution. Lyron's lips parted, disbelief filling his voice. My evolution? He looked down at his glowing hands. I survived. Adrian nodded. You survived because you fought, because you trusted, because you chose your own path. Lyron's voice broke. Because you stayed with me. Before Adrian could respond, the isolation room's doors opened with a heavy metallic hiss. Alien guards rushed in, then froze. They stared at Lyron, glowing gently in calm blue light. Sitting beside Adrian, they stared at Adrian, still breathing, still human, still alive despite the shockwave. Commander Virik stepped forward slowly, eyes wide with disbelief. Prince Lyron, he whispered, your energy it is stable. Lyron stood tall, for the first time not shaking, his posture straight and proud. Yes, Commander, he said. The storm inside me is calm. A heavy silence filled the room. Then the commander bowed, deeply. Your Highness, we believed you lost. But the human, he saved you. Lyron looked at Adrian with soft eyes. He did more than save me. He believed in me. The commander turned toward Adrian. For the first time, there was no coldness, no suspicion in his face. Only respect. Dr. Adrian Hale, he said firmly, our empire owes you a debt that cannot be measured. Adrian tried to stand but nearly fell. Lyron caught him quickly, supporting him with glowing hands. The commander continued, you could have stepped away. You could have let fear guide you. Yet you stayed at the prince's side, even when it meant death. Adrian shrugged weakly. He's my patient. Lyron smiled warmly. And my friend. The commander paused at that word, friend, as if he'd never heard a prince use it before. After a long moment, he spoke again. The royal ship is ready. We will return home immediately. The empire must see its future king healed. Lyron stiffened. Wait. The commander blinked. Yes, your highness? Lyron looked at Adrian. I will not leave without him. Adrian's eyes widened. Lyron. But the prince shook his head firmly. You guided my evolution. Only you understand my new energy. If something changes, I want you there. The commander hesitated. Bringing a human aboard a royal ship was unheard of, forbidden, dangerous. But Lyron stepped forward, glowing with new strength. I am the future ruler, he said quietly, and this human saved my life. He will come with me. The commander bowed deeply. As you command, Prince Lyron. Adrian looked stunned. Lyron, are you sure? Lyron stepped closer, his voice soft but unwavering. You saw me as a person, not a weapon, not a future king, just a boy who needed help. His eyes glowed gently. I don't want our journey to end here. Adrian's voice softened. It doesn't have to end. Lyron's face lit with relief. We leave together then? Adrian nodded. Yes, together. The alien royal ship rose into the sky, glowing with majestic blue light. Adrian stood beside Lyron on the boarding ramp, watching the desert fade beneath them. Lyron looked at Adrian with a calm smile, the storm inside him finally quiet. In my world, Lyron whispered, saving the life of a prince makes you part of the royal family. Adrian raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what does that mean for me? Lyron's glow brightened. It means, Doctor, your life just changed forever. The ship soared into the stars. A boy who survived impossible evolution. A doctor who crossed species to save him. A bond strong enough to shake empires. HFY, humanity at its best.